TR90 because clearly this product launch in October has become perhaps our flagship product that has been derived from the age-lock approach. Let me perhaps use this as a case study to illustrate the guiding principle behind our age-lock approach and how our scientists came to develop this product system that focuses. And we have chosen our words very carefully here. This is not a weight loss program. This is, in fact, a weight management program leading to a better body shape. That, we feel, is a far more meaningful and more persistent benefit that you can get from TR90 relative to other conventional weight loss programs. Because when we talk about a diet, I think by definition, a diet is something that you use and you take and consume, but you will eventually stop using it. By contrast with TR90, this is a system that we wish that for many of our folks to at least use the eating plan that comes with the TR90 system so that they can maintain a healthy weight, which obviously will translate to a much better body shape based on what we have understood from our age-lock approach. The science behind age-lock, and this is again a very exciting development for us and an insight, a key insight perhaps, and that is we are attempting to debunk three important myths related to weight. And that is, the first myth is that all weight loss programs are created equal. They're not. Because you will soon see that many of the programs out there, while you get on a scale and you see a loss in weight, you are in fact, if you look more closely, you are losing an equivalent amount of muscle together with the fat, and that is not very healthy. The second myth is, well, we are born what we are landed with the genes, and there's nothing we can do about maintaining a healthy weight. And again, the science tells us this is not true because genes are very dynamic. They will respond to how you treat them, and you can actually influence the gene expression in such a way as that will lead to a more healthy weight. And then finally, the third myth is very prevalent in our industry, and that is there is this magical bullet out there that one product and one pill that you take will result in significant weight loss. Unfortunately, I think time and time again, it tells us when you look at these individuals or these consumers taking a so-called magic bullet, the weight returns. So these are the things that we are trying to debunk with our age-lock science. I think this graphic shows very dramatically and very clearly why weight loss is not created equal. Right? So if you look at that person on the left, he is of exactly the same BMI as the person on the right. And yet, when you look at them, the person on the right is the person that we all wish to aspire to. It's well-defined. The body shape is great. They weigh 200 pounds, but he looks really good. The person on the left doesn't look quite as good. And that is because, as I've alluded to, most diet programs lead to the loss of muscle. And when you have a loss of muscle, your basic metabolic rate or your resting metabolism goes down because muscle is the only tissue in the body that can actually help you to burn your calories while resting. Without muscle, you can't achieve that goal. So many of the studies have shown that as you increase muscle mass in your body, your resting metabolic rate goes up, which obviously will then translate to more calories being burned. And that is why we are emphasizing a lot in terms of our TR90 system that you are going to preserve the muscle while losing the fat. That is the key goal and objective of the TR90 system. This is not just our word of it, and I've always mentioned science to back up our substantiation, and there are many peer-reviewed journal articles that have been produced and published to show and suggest that on the average, you lose about 40% of your muscle mass during a weight loss program. That's a lot. A 40% loss of your muscle mass will translate to a resting metabolic rate that is not healthy, and importantly, it will not help you to maintain the weight, a healthy weight. Because in addition to the loss of fat, that muscle loss, in fact, will make you shapeless and will not have the BMI going up, so therefore you're not able to burn calories. The second thing about genes is that most of us, when we look at genes, we almost think that these genes are static. In fact, they're very dynamic. If your genes are not dynamic, you're not able to respond to the environment, to all the signals coming into you. So therefore, we believe, and science have shown us, that you can influence gene expression. And that's what we're focusing on, not to structurally change the genes, but to influence their gene expression or their activity. So here's a study. These are what we call in science, and we geeks, we use a lot of jargon, like most analysts do. The lean control is a heat map. That's a genetic expression profile that's been taken from a lean control. That's what we would call a desired heat map or gene expression, an optimal gene expression profile. The one on the right was taken from an individual that's a high fat content. And when you look at it, it has an opposite profile to what you see in a lean control. And then you take the fat tissue, and you can do that. You do a biopsy, and you look at the fat tissue under the microscope. I think you will appreciate and agree with me that the fat cells in this particular study shows that this high fat control shows extremely large fat cells. In other words, it contains a lot of lipid. It contains a lot of fat. That's how you gain weight, is because the fat cells get bigger by accumulating a lot more fat. When you treat the high-fat control with a particular ingredient that we eventually chose to put into our TR90 supplement, you can see that this particular ingredient reduces the size of the fat cells. That means the fat is being lost. Same number of fat cells, but the fat inside the fat cells, they are being slowly excluded from the body. And when you look at the gene expression profile, it's beginning, and it looks very similar to the gene expression profile that you see in a lean control. So what we have done is to look at the genetic level and be able to translate or at least correlate that profile to a meaningful clinical benefit or a functional benefit, which gives us confidence, therefore, that age-lock approach, focusing on gene expression, allows us to gain these kinds of insights and allows us to screen for ingredients that we can eventually use in a TR90 supplement. That's not all, though, because we also recognize there's a second reality as far as eating is concerned, and that is there's an organ in your body far away from the fat, and that's called the brain. If we don't have an influence on the brain, the eating behavior continues to go awry, and you will eat more than you should. And again, when we look at the gene expression profile of inside the brain tissue, we see that genes control and modulate both the appetite and the ability to stay full, or at least to feel full. So once again, we have used this insight to screen for ingredients that can help us to modulate the genes expression profile in the brain so that the eating behavior stays optimal. There is no magic bullet. This is the third myth. There's no such thing. We don't believe that we can actually develop a single product that can help people to maintain healthy weight. And therefore, when you look at TR90, it's a systems approach to weight management and body shaping. I've mentioned that there are many ingredients out there that we can evaluate. But how do you go about evaluating the relevant ingredients to put into a weight management program? We've used the age-log approach as a funnel. We use it as a filter to screen hundreds and thousands of natural ingredients that there's some putative claim out there to say that they have a weight management effect. We've used it to see whether they actually have an impact on those relevant genes related to weight. And out of that screening procedure, and that's part of the age-log approach, we have selected many ingredients that we can blend together and put into a supplement. That's the approach. We don't believe there's a single ingredient, neither do we believe there is a single product that can help us to achieve healthy weight. The TR90 is a systems approach. It consists of 3 supplements together with a protein shake that helps people to use the protein to build muscle, or at least at a very minimum to preserve muscle, while we control the hunger pangs and while helping to lose the fat content. And again, when we look at the age-log approach, obviously the first thing we do is to look at gene expression profile. Here's a study. This is an important study because this is a study that we conducted with our LifeGen partners in Wisconsin. And we took a biopsy of the fat tissue, and once again, we took it from a lean control. That's a heat, that would be a heat map or a gene expression profile from a lean control on the left, and in the middle is the high-fat control. And again, we see a dramatic difference in the gene expression profile. However, when you include the ingredient blend that we use in TR90 together within the high-fat control, we see the gene expression profile reverting and approximating to that we see in a lean control, giving us, once again, the confidence that we're on the right track and we should pursue this particular blend to incorporate into a TR90 product. We followed this with a clinical human study. In this particular study, instead of looking at fat tissue, we were more interested in looking at the genes related to appetite and hunger. And once again, lean control on the left, the TR90 baseline, and that is fat people before TR90. We took blood for them, and we look at the gene expression profile, and we saw a huge difference between the lean control group versus before TR90. And then when we added TR90, or we have these individuals taking the TR90 system for the next 90 days, we see, again, confirming our hypothesis that our age-log approach will produce a gene expression profile that approximates a lean control, and therefore leading and ultimately translating to better appetite or to a more appetite control and less hunger. When we looked, and we can use what we call a DEXA scan to look at whether there is in fact any muscle loss or what is the difference between the muscle before and after TR90 relative to the fat. And here it illustrates and summarizes the results we have from this particular study after 90 days. Minimally, we saw no loss of muscle mass from these individuals, while there is a significant loss of fat. So, again, I think we have substantiated our claim that with TR90, this is a program that focuses on weight management and body shaping while preserving and at least maintaining muscle mass. And when you look at visually at measuring the circumferences of the waist, the hips, the arms, and the ankles, you see there is, again, once again, a very significant reduction in the circumference of these body parts. So to quote perhaps a very famous philosopher, Shakira, the hips don't lie. So I think all these things and all the science that we do, ultimately, I think we need to have the customer and the consumer to be happy. And we did an exit interview with all the subjects from the particular study, from this 90-day study, and we see they have reported they have low levels of hunger, They have a very positive change in the silhouette, and the clothes fit much better, and they do prefer this program over other weight loss programs they've tried for many years to help them to lose weight. So I think the TR90 case study suggests that the age-lock approach works. It is effective. It is relevant to look at gene expression.